Hello there. Today I'm just going to quickly talk about the competitive Geoguessr season because it is my first season doing it and it's also the first season of the No Move and the NMPZ. And I quickly want to talk about it and feel free to share your thoughts, your opinions of of the format and how you found the week in general for all the modes as well. So let's just jump straight into the moving since I think we can get that one out of the way first. I think the moving was good. I thought it was fine. I feel like the difference is the game amount. I think 15 is quite a lot, but for me, I don't have much issues with it. I could just do 5 a day and it's not too bad, but for others it's quite a lot. And if No Move at NMPZ was less random, I would say it's a bit excessive, but the fact we're having a lot more variation with the No Move NMPZ, it's actually quite favouring to have more moving games than both of them, which I find is good for showing player consistency. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Besides the one game, but that was purely down to my own doing. So yeah, moving I am fine with. I'm fine with the multipliers in moving. Yes, it's not the best solution to show your moving skill, but for playing a duel, finding enough information quickly enough to get a good region guess, I think it is good for that. So yeah, moving I'm happy with. For no moving, I am kind of on the fence, so I'm like, I like it in terms of the format. I like the fact there's multipliers for no move. I feel like it's good to have multipliers for no moving, just not too much. But at the same time, I still feel like it's a bit too much. So like the early rounds don't matter as much. And I feel like when you get to no move NMPZ, you will get those very limited information rounds at times, especially in NMPZ. And if you do it in an early round, it's almost like it doesn't matter, which is not great. And I feel like yes, you can set for moving, but for moving, generally you should be all closer anyway. Whereas in no move, there's more room for that big country difference or the continent difference, and same case for NMPZ. So if there's one feedback to take from the no moving is maybe reduce the multiplier index. So instead of being like, I think it goes up by zero point 0.5 every multiplier round, and maybe reduce that to like 0.25 or something. That would be great. So if it starts from 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, I think that would be a better alternative, and it would show more consistency. I feel like because as the rounds go later on, I feel like you can show enough skill in those early rounds for those rounds to matter, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's the one feedback I would say. I did have very tough opponents in the no move, so maybe my reaction will be different if a similar thing happened with no move. What happened with my NMPZ? But I feel like NMPZ's the main talking point, and I've seen a lot of top players lose a lot of games on the NMPZs, and that will include Radu. Radu, I think, lost the same amount of games as me, 3 games. He was literally a semi-finalist, like in the World Cup. Like you can't pass past that. Also, Mate Potato was a World Cup participant, and he lost quite a lot of games, and so did Wolf. Those are 3 World Cup players in Stockholm in October, and they lost 3 or 4 games of NMPZ. So I feel like there is a sign there of randomness, and I think we can use more samples of really good players that have had a rough time on NPZ as well. But I think a good example in my games was the first game I played, I think, was against someone or a group of people. So I'm not sure because they mentioned COD in the name. Like I say, I'm against anyone who plays Team Duels as a group. It should be one person. But like I say, I just assume it's one person. I treat it like one person. But regardless of that, I had a very bad start. They got the road in BC and took 4k damage, and then I came back to win the game, which feels kind of like a robbery at first glance. And yes, it definitely does. I would say I feel like I should have got punished a lot more. But then again, they did a massive mistake in Magadan the following round as well. So it kind of balanced out. So it wasn't too bad, but it's still a lot of damage. The person gets the road for crying out loud. Like they deserve more than that. And then obviously the game where I was absolutely molding. And like I say, I've had a couple of days since then. I am more chill. I'm not gonna let my emotions get the better of me. But I think the key point in that game was the Peru round. That Peru round where I think I got 4.8k, and the other person gets Mexico, and it was a 4.1k damage. Similar situation to the BC round actually, but it was a wrong continent. So it was even more significant, I would say, to have some benefits from that. And pretty much how the rest of the game happened, if you have not watched it, is we had pretty straightforward rounds. I was region guessing fairly consistently or hedging consistently. Nothing really much happened. There was a rush around in Karelia, and I was 50-50 with Sagut. I went Sagut because I thought sand. I think that's more likely. I'm worried about Karelia though, but I'm going to not go there because I feel like maybe the person will more likely go Sagut based on the previous rounds that they performed. I feel like they would, if they're going to go Russia, they probably go Sagut because of the Sagut sand. And so what came to my surprise is, well, it was Karelia, which is my own fault, simple as. But they went Ukraine and they got closer, which is extremely unfortunate because we literally had black tip, sign bottom, which gave away Russia, and also landscape. Everything else felt very Russian to me, so it was really unlucky that I lost health because of that. And then I feel the last two rounds I kind of didn't hedge right. I committed a bit too much. Like the US round, I deserved to lose health. I definitely did. The Thailand round, I should have not jumped the gun with the insulators, thinking they were the southern insulators, which they weren't. When I look back at the round, and it's NMPZ, you can't zoom into them. But we also the snake trap, which maybe wants to hedge south anyway. My hedge very south was a bit too extreme. I feel like I should have hedged, Chump on or something, or a bit more north for safety. But even then, I think it was probably still game. And yeah, they just hedged Central Thailand to Central US and Central Thailand round, maybe lose despite that Peru round. And that Peru round, I feel like deserves more than a Thailand and a US, to be honest. I got the country right. It's tough because they're big, long countries, but I got Peru right. If that was any period of the multipliers, I would have won. So I want I think a lot of us want those big rounds early on to matter more, because once you get, I think, past like 2 times multipliers, it's like a new game, almost, pretty much. Unless you're already at real low health and you get smallish countries, then you're probably going to lose. But if you get like a big country or a hard round, it's like it's like one round there you have the matters. All your rounds you did before don't matter. You may have taken 5,000 damage off the person, and they may have taken 200. But oh no, you got a really raw round and you split between Philippines and Colombia, and you're gonna lose. Like it's kind of tough, and I don't like that factor. And I feel like for NMPZ, uh, if you exclude the entertainment side, I would say the best solution is to reduce the health and remove the multipliers. That is what I said in the video, and I still kind of stand by that, but I don't know if the developers would want to do that because, like I said, the multipliers give that bit more of an entertainment factor. It gives people a second chance, which I do understand. But also, it kind of kills the competitive vibe a little bit, I feel, especially for NMPZ with how limited information you get. Like, you can't play as consistent in NMPZ and you can on No Move, and especially on moving, like, they should be treated differently. And the second alternative would be to reduce the multiplier index, same as like I said for the no move. But if you don't change the multiplier index for no move, I am fine with that. But for the NMPZ, I feel like that has to be the absolute minimum because the multipliers have way too much of an impact. Like all the early rounds almost don't matter, and there was 2 games in my video that show that the an early round didn't matter. 4k damage early round should matter really, 9 times out of 10. And yeah, I think that's my feedback for the modes. Feel free to let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree, if you got other alternative suggestions, let me know. Like I say, I feel like the moving 15 games, if you want to reduce it, then 12-4-4 would work perfectly, especially if they're keeping the no move NMPs the same the following season. I think that is good. But the other thing I want to talk about is my ranking. So what happened with my ranking is I was on 15-13, I think, before the no move, and I dropped to 1430 something. So in the space of 10 games of no move NMPZ, because of that, the tough games I had, and also the randomness that happened in those games as well as the games I felt like I dominated until the multipliers hit. It's it's obviously had a massive impact, and there's more situations of you getting not close in no move NMPZ, even if you're a top player. And like I feel that risk, that danger on its own should be separate to moving because moving is completely different. you're spoilt with information in most rounds. You're trying to find the information to double confirm yourself. You're trying to find an extra close guess in a big country. Whereas in No Move and NMPZ, well, No Move you play one of region guess more consistently, but sometimes you just have to get the country right. And NMPZ, you probably just have to get the country right half the time and then get the region guessing as well when you need it. And they're different modes and they have different strategies and they are different difficulties in my opinion. And in terms of like getting close scores, like I say, moving has its own skill set, a lot different to the other two modes. I feel like no move has a mixture of moving aspects, but also you also can't move. So if you got information already, you don't need to move to find information. And same case with moving, if it's almost like no move, you already have the information you can send. But for NMPZ, you can't really do that. So like, it's a bit tough to have the same kind of rank for all three modes. And I feel like no move at NMPZ is more predictable. There's a closer skill base with top players. I feel like with no move at NMPZ, and the multipliers do not help with the consistency showing the best players playing consistently because it's really hard. And I'm gonna be honest, Radu is probably let's be real, he's one of the best players in the world, and he lost 3 games, and a lot of World Cup players lost 3 or 4 games, which is crazy. So like, you clearly can't be as consistent as you are moving, it seems, and all these top players do fairly well in moving, and they are more no-move players. I think Mate's a bit more well-rounded, maybe Radu as well, but I know Wolf is really strong at NMPZ. He's quite strong at no-move as well. Like losing 3 or 4 games is kind of crazy. So it'd be good to see changes in the next season. Like I say, I'm very happy that there is no moving and NMPZ introduced, but I feel like there could be slight tweaks, especially to NMPZ, because like I say, it did kind of kill the fun of it in the video for me. But I'm hoping to do better this week, sorry. And if I do well, I'll be very happy. But I feel like it's going to be really determined on obviously which opponents I get. Like I say, if I get a really cracked opponent, it's going to be hard to get the wins. And it also depends on the timing of the multipliers, which countries come up in the multipliers. It's a tricky one. And it's very unpredictable. But like I say, the moving's the most important, so it's not too damaging. If they had more of a factor, then I would really be concerned. So I think the fact they kept the no move at NPZ quite low is actually a really good thing, in my opinion, for the current state it is in, especially for NMPZ. But yeah, that is my thoughts. That's my opinions of my first experience of playing in a competitive season on the Geoguessr website. And yeah, hopefully there'll be some changes in the next one. If not, it's just something we're going to have to deal with. We're going to find our own approach of dealing with it or minimizing it. But like I say, there's only so much you can do when it becomes random with high multipliers. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, of course.